Hello, my friends on YouTube. Today, today's video. Today is Sunday, the 10th of April, 2022, and today's video is One picture is worth 1,000 words, and the picture I'll put on my video. Okay. Because things are happening so fast, there are many things that I can talk about, but my video should be, I don't want to make it more than 20 minutes top. However, there are so many things happening, but I can't get to it today. I know there are things happening in India, Pakistan, in the whole world. Really, everything is chaotic. Ukraine, Europe, America, the Middle East, the Far East, China, North Korea, India, Pakistan. There are so many things happening, but I cannot deal with all of that at once. So I promise next time it will be about India and Pakistan and the Islamic influence there and what's happening. However, today's subject, I wanted to talk about it also last week, but I couldn't. Anyway, for the same reason, it would be too long. Let's start. Things, because it's happening so much. Also, by the way, in Israel, I chose this picture because what's happening in Israel and between Israel and the Arab countries. 4 Arab countries leaders met in Israel with the Israeli the 4 prime ministers of Arab countries, Egypt, Morocco, Bahrain, and United Arab Emirates, met in Israel with the Israeli leaders, and also American, I forgot his name. Anyway, that means with the blessing of the West, these people are going to Israel, and with the blessing of Saudi Arabia and many other countries, these people are going to Israel. Why are they going to Israel now? This picture, it has a lot of weight. A lot of weight. And I'm going to speak about that first. What does that picture really say? Indirectly. I mean, they didn't say it verbally, but it says what? To me, it says, forget about Islam. Forget about the pillars of Islam. Forget about the Islamic, what do you call that, rituals. It's all over. And we see the declaration of the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. Like recently, I just read that the students in high school, in all classes, all ages, are going to school normal way. What does that mean? Muslim countries in Ramadan, the people become very lazy because they are fasting, and I understand, especially when it is hot in the summer, when you are doing fasting in the summer and you cannot drink water. It's actually very damaging to the health. However, it is very hard to focus. I understand that. Now it's not that hot. But 4 years ago, it was in July and August. People in countries like Egypt, Saudi Arabia, all this Gulf region, the temperature, it goes way up, almost to 50 degrees centigrade, which is very hot. So I understand if you don't eat or drink in that temperature, especially drink in that temperature, you lose focus. Now it's not so hot. and he's saying we want to have full attendance in the school. So don't tell me I'm fasting. You cannot fast. Eat, drink. The restaurants are open. He opened the restaurant. And he said to people, whoever wants to eat, eat. Before, you would go to jail. There were people on the street like the secret police in the Soviet Union. If they see you doing that, they will put you in jail. Not only that, they used to carry like a whip or a stick. At the time of prayer, if you want to go somewhere, they will stop you. They will stop your car. Go to the mosque, pray. So he stopped that, number one. Number two, if you want to eat, eat. Be productive. The countries that are in the bottom in the world are the Islamic countries because they have so many excuses to stay behind. So that might be hard, especially for people who believed in this ideology for a long time. I'm sorry, it's a fact. This is what's happening. Okay? Tell me about one Islamic country that unites with this ideology and got ahead. Some people say, oh, in the Middle Ages, oh, the Arabs brought the science and blah, blah, blah. Forget this. This is brainwashing stuff. That's all lies. Okay? All right? All the Arabs did is pay the looting they took. They paid people to translate from the looting. They hired educated people to translate into Arabic. And science is science, whether it's in Greek or in Arabic. Okay? So let's be clear about that. No country united with this ideology and advanced. The Crown Prince, all the leaders actually now know that. And that's why they are changing. They may not say about the whole agenda, what is all about, what they are changing, but they came to the understanding, especially the Gulf region, that the oil will not last forever. Already people switching to electric cars. And with the trouble that's going in Russia now and all the oil and the gas situation, people are looking for alternatives. And probably, in my opinion, it will be like the nuclear power is the most efficient. That wind and solar and all that stuff, it really doesn't help much, especially if you live in an area like where I live in Pennsylvania. It hardly gets sunny or that hot, so I don't think so. So, and finally, that picture is saying, forget about Muhammad and his teaching. And look at this picture clearly, pay attention. There's one Jewish leader and a Christian leader from America. In Quran, it says the Jews are the descendant of pigs and monkeys. And the American, I'm very sure he's Christian because most America and American people are Christian. So he is mushrikun. Mushrik. That means he is an infidel. He should be killed. Yet they are embracing, they're putting hands together, and they are looking forward to advance. There's no other way. How can, if these people, these Arab leaders still believe that the Jews are descendant of the pigs and the monkeys, and you go there to accept their invitation, you're worse. You're accepting an invitation from a pig, a descendant of a pig or a monkey. You're less. So these people came to the understanding that all this nonsense we have to leave behind. That this ideology was not even fit for the 7th century. But it took roots because of the sword. It took roots by force. So now we can see that the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, first he pulled the teeth, the fangs of these people who were in charge of the media propagating this nonsense. And he put, you remember when he put them in prison? We remember when he put them in prison in, actually it was a hotel, but it was a prison. And he actually confiscated their money, their wealth. It's not that he doesn't have money, he does. The government of Saudi Arabia is very wealthy, but he confiscated their money because all of the donation that it was going to the terrorists was from these people. Going to Afghanistan, going to the Salafi and the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. They came to understanding this will not continue forever and it doesn't work. The same thing happened in the former Soviet Union. The communist leader came to the understanding that this ideology did not work for 70 years. We better give it up. Now the Arab leaders came to that point. We better give up this nonsense. This ideology will not work. But they cannot say that to the public, publicly like that. I'm explaining it to you so that you'll understand. Here, Iran is the country that still did not come to recognize that, unfortunately. And therefore, publicly, they are showing solidarity. And solidarity with who? If Israel is your arch enemy, as it's proclaimed in the teaching of this wretched teaching that came 1400 years ago, that the Jews are your arch enemies, you should eliminate them. They ought to be killed, all of them. This is contradiction. Iran is still holding to that nonsense, unfortunately, and they are Ahmadinejad. He said it openly that he wants to wipe Israel off the earth, and he started to produce nuclear bombs. What? I mean, does it take a genius to put it 2 and 2 is 4? Why is he producing nuclear bombs? Why he wants to produce nuclear bomb? He wants to wipe Israel off the map. So now, at least some of the people who used to believe in that nonsense came to the idea it doesn't work this way. And they are taking good steps forward. You want to stay behind and continue like I remember in Egypt, the President Nasser, he had a slogan that we will in the sea we are going to drown them, the Jews. On the land, we are going to bury them. In the sky, we are going to burn them. And that propaganda, and of course, as of today, all these news media are all paid to repeat that nonsense. Whatever the deep state and the ruler tell them what to do, they say it. Okay? So, average people in these countries believed they have the religious authority telling them these are non-human. They descend from pigs and monkeys, and actually I think there is hadith says that they are rats. The Jews are rats. And at the end of time they ought to be all killed. And the Muslim are the people who are going to kill them, the Muslim armies from all different Muslim countries. And only Iran now is holding on to that nonsense. I call it nonsense, yeah. Nonsense. Only Iran. The rest are on board. The rest, they know that this nonsense has to stop. Has to stop. And they are moving. And that picture says that. Okay? Now, Iran and the nuclear power that they are trying to develop, they think that I don't know if they are living in an illusion or what. You are the only country trying to do that, and you are surrounded by people like Saudi Arabia. About, I can't remember exactly when, they bought a lot, 3-4 years ago, a lot of advanced weapon from America, F-35 and a lot of advanced technology, and they are training their military people on this advanced technology. Israel, they have their own technology, and in some area they are more advanced than America, believe it or not. Okay? And the rest of the Arabs, because most of the Arabs actually are Sunni, which many people probably they don't know, whereas most of Iran is Shiite, and there's animosity between the two. So Iran doesn't mind if Saudi Arabia is set ablaze. They are infidel in their opinion. And the Saudi who believe in this nonsense, they believe that the Iranian or the Shia are infidel. So Iran, I don't know how they can put this together. They believe that they can take over a major military power like Israel plus Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and all these. I don't know. They are living in an illusion. Whatever. And we come to something that is also somewhat peripheral situation with Russia today, and stopping the oil, pumping oil to Europe, which it affected Europe tremendously. And this reminds me of what happened in 1973 when Egypt and Israel, Egypt, Syria, and Jordan fought against Israel and the Israeli military. At this time, for those who are over 50, you may remember in the Western countries such as America, all of Europe, they didn't receive oil. So there was actually a line on the gas stations to buy. You couldn't fill up the whole tank of your car. It was really difficult time. And this is happening today again because, well, part of it because this guy is out of control, that Biden. Oh, let's go, Brandon. Giving money is like he's printing, so that destroys the value of the money. The bring the money down, the value of the money. So much cash going around, so everything loses value. The money loses value. I'm sorry, because there's so much paper. He's printing. Okay. Uh, so the gasoline is high because number one, because of that. Number two, because Russia stopped selling oil and natural gas to Europe. Add to that that there was a pipeline supposed to be coming from Alaska to the rest of the United States. When this Let's Go Brandon, this monkey, took over, he stopped the pipe. If you have your own oil, why you have to buy it from outside? And after the situation became tough, he goes begging Iran to give him oil. Iran, his arch enemy, he's bowing to them. He goes to Venezuela, which is his enemy. There is no clear understanding, I understand. So that is adding to it, but reality is also the Russian not pumping oil, because Russia is the most pump like producer of oil, more than Saudi Arabia, believe it or not. Okay. Because of that, even though Biden is putting sanction on Russia and even on Putin and on Putin's kids, yet is not doing much. It is not doing much because now Putin came and he said, you pay us in ruble. You want oil? You pay us in our own money, not in dollar anymore. So he's actually compromising the value of the dollar and the strength of the dollar. And the currency of the ruble, it's as before. I'm not saying what he's doing in Ukraine is good, but he's standing his ground. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, and that reminds me also of something similar happened. So if we learn from what happened before, we may actually use some different strategy. In 1973, the Soviet economy was in terrible shape. It was supposed to, the Soviet Union and Russia, with that system, the communist system, was supposed to collapse in 1974, 1975. But if you remember the Egyptian-Israeli war, when the Gulf countries stopped pumping oil, the oil prices went way up. For those who are over 50 can remember that. After that, I think the price of the gallon back then was, I think, 39 cents per gallon here in America. I wasn't here, but I heard that was the price back then, 39 cents. After the war, I think it doubled or more than doubled in price and kept going up. Because Russia was the only country pumping oil at this time in 1973, and the price of oil went up, they quickly made a lot of money. They paid their debt and they managed to survive. I'm sorry, to drag until 1989 when they collapsed, officially collapsed. Their economy couldn't recover anymore. They collapsed. But they should have collapsed earlier. But because of the oil used as weapon, it gave them a little bit of a push. Today, the same thing happening. The price of oil went up. And believe it or not, they're making more money. They're not selling their wheat, and they are not selling their fertilizer and many of their production, but selling the oil on high price, receiving a ruble for it. It put them in a better position. Nobody calculated that from the deep state, that they pushed Ukraine to be in that position. And they pushed Putin to be in that position. And everybody in that position. Now, at the end, in conclusion, it is a war of cultures. Each culture wants to influence the world in its own way. And in my opinion, there are three cultures left here on earth. Freedom, the democratic culture, which advocate freedom. And even animals want to be free. Humans want to be free. So at the end, freedom will prevail. The communist socialist system, whether it is Xi Jinping in China or Kim Jong-un in North Korea or Maduro in Venezuela, will have to go. They will disappear by themselves, even without war. Nobody wants this system. People yearn for freedom. And the third culture is the Islamic one, which is very similar to the communist culture, which is one man on top, Khalifa, or the communist leader, and the rest like a pyramid system under him. He tells his gang, the one right under him, the top leaders, what to do, and they delegate responsibility to those who under them, until the very bottom one is the average person on the street. This is the person who suffers the most. The same thing, you have the caliphate up on top. He tells his gang the same thing, and it trickles down. This system is sick, whether it's practiced here or there, and it will not continue. We thank you very much. We hope to hear from you.